and welcome. It's nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We thank you for joining us. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. Senate has urged the National Inland Waterways Agency to enforce mandatory usage of life jackets by passengers traveling by sea in Nigeria. This was part of resolutions at Wednesday's plenary following a motion on the boat's mishap in Lafiagi, Kwara State. The legislators who observed a minute's silence in honor of those who lost their lives also called on the Minister of Power, Works and Housing to urgently intervene in the construction of the Lafiagi Niger State Road. The Senate has implored the federal government to immortalize the late Brigadier General Abba Kyari by naming the Kaduna International Airport after him. Meanwhile, the Senate Committee on Petroleum Downstream has urged the Federal Ministry of Finance, the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Debt Management Office to interface with oil marketers on the modalities to settle their outstanding debts to avert looming strike by the petroleum dealers. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nanim has details.
The federal government had requested an approval of a promissory note of 429 billion naira to settle outstanding debts owed oil marketers in the country, of which the National Assembly approved over 300 billion naira after due considerations. But the petroleum marketers have observations.
Debt Management Office said they will give us 236.99 billion. This is a far cry from the over 400 billion that was approved by the Federal Executive Council.
What's been handled immediately is stage one, which all of us will be made to ensure that promissory notes are issued latest by Friday this week, and that the process for further verification, stage two, will be dealt with based on further verification.
Pay us from the LNG dividends, cash, and then go ahead and verify the outstanding claims that we have given to you.
While the lawmakers urged them not to embark on strike as efforts are on top gear towards settling the issues, the legislators emphasized the need for the marketers to review the offer in line with the terms of agreement.
Please accept the promissory notes that government is going to give you, because that was the arrangement. But you have a right to ask within the context of that. Now, National Assembly approved this also amount, and you are giving us this. When are you going to pay us this?
The type of promissory note that will give us the true value that was approved by the Federal Executive Council and by the Senate. That is what we should be given.
The Senate Committee on Petroleum Downstream also called for concerted effort and cooperation of relevant groups on the matter to tackle the challenges once and for all. From the National Assembly, Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Now, the House of Representatives has questioned the alleged proposed 4,500 naira birth registration charge being considered by the National Population Commission, NPC. The lawmakers, in adopting the motion by Representative Nkiruka Onyejiocha, pointed out that the proposed charge by the NPC to be carried out under joint public-private partnership goes against the law establishing the commission and should therefore be discontinued. While noting the importance of birth registration for planning purposes, such charges would hamper registration of citizens at birth. In the meantime, the ad hoc committee set up to investigate the process that led to the termination of the contract between Nigeria Ports Authority and Intels Nigeria Limited has submitted its report to the House. The explanation by President Muhammadu Buhari on the reasons for withholding assent to the amendment of the Electoral Act has received the blessing of guests on NTA Good Morning Nigeria. Mujanato Adam Said reports that there was a general consensus among the guests that changing the rule midway into the game is a recipe for confusion and chaos.
For the fourth time, President Muhammadu Buhari declared assent to the amendment of the Electoral Bill passed by the National Assembly. The President has, however, pointed out reasons why he was withholding assent, which even the National Assembly admitted and affected corrections. In the latest edition, the president cited proximity to the election as a major reason which discussants on Good Morning Nigeria agreed is valid.
If the president have signed it, let's assume on Monday,
Yes.
by now, what will happen is the process is still on, and it's not a process that is already finished. We are still on the process, and people are in court as I'm talking to you.
Discussants also declined the habit of amending the Electoral Act each time election approaches.
It's an inevitable thing until such a time when our election process and procedures would have been near perfect or perfect, if there will be anything like that. But definitely, there must be very conscious and concerted efforts at all times to ensure that we improve our ways of doing things.
Human nature in itself is dynamic and change is certain. Some of the amendments that are being proposed, for instance, that has to do with where a candidate died during the process of an election. Never had it been contemplated before.
Every election produces some characteristics, some challenges which needs to be addressed by new legislation. But as of today, the legislations have so crystallized that it doesn't need too much of amendment. Some characteristics, some challenges which needs to be addressed by new legislation.
The guests were also of the opinion that all arms of government must work together to improve the system. In Abuja, Morijana to Adam Said, NTA News.
Still on the Electoral Act, the decline by President Buhari to assent the amendment of the Electoral Amendment Bill passed by the National Assembly generated a lot of reactions and became a major matter of national discourse. However, guests on NTA's Tuesday Live program, cutting across diverse political parties, unanimously agreed that national interests should take precedence. Momso Demindati has more.
The National Assembly, in an effort considered to be institutionalizing democracy, presented an electoral amendment bill to the president for his assent. The president, however, withheld assent, citing a lot of reasons, including proximity to election, for his decision. A development that generated different reactions, including guests on NTA Tuesday Live.
How did you appropriate for INEC to buy those equipment? If you appropriate, what time do you have to purchase these equipment? If you have those equipment there, have you enlightened the citizens to know that these are what you want to use? If you have enlightened the citizens, where are the facilities? Have we seen those facilities?
In 2015, rather, when the card reader was being debated, it was never tested anywhere. But today, as we gradually moved on, we have in some, like in Anambra State, even in Ekiti State and Osun State, card reader failure is about 0.0001%, totally insignificant.
The law is a law. It does not matter how late, whatever everybody wants to take it to be. The law is a law, and I feel that the president has the right to go ahead and assent to this bill.
But even the US, as advanced as they are, their elections their systems were hacked. So if you just start with something as massive as this without prior testing, we could run into some serious crisis and confusion, as Mr. President has said.
Representative of INEC is, however, positive about its improved smart card readers not posing a threat.
Independent National Electoral Commission has improved on the regime of the smart card reader. The smart card readers are now faster and more robust and contains additional features that will enable the Independent National Electoral Commission to do its work much better.
The panelists all agree that the interests of Nigeria should be central in whatever they do. Momso Demindati, NTA.
More on politics. The present administration has lived above board compared with the 16 years of the PDP administration that plunged the nation into recession before the coming of the governing All Progressives Congress. These are the words of the national coordinator of the APC Broom platform, Dr. Tom Ohikere, while appraising President Muhammadu Buhari's administration and the Progressives Governor's Infrastructural Projects media tour to Jigawa and Nasarawa states. Ruth Aguele has that.
Going by the tour of projects executed so far by the present administration in Jigawa and Nasarawa states, the national coordinator of the APC Brum platform, Dr. Tom Ohikere, says it is only the Buhari administration that has embarked on completion of abandoned projects initiated by previous governments.
Most people, most genuine mind, most honest people are asking us that has President Muhammadu Buhari and the APC government achieved this much in less than 4 years? That is, from just our pilot program in Jigawa and Nasarawa, people are asking these questions. Second question is, why has the People's Democratic Party-led administration not been able to accomplish this feat in 16 years?
The landmark achievements of the Buhari administration, which dotted the landscape across the 36 states and Federal Capital Territory, are enough to earn him re-election in 2019, as he challenges all the presidential candidates to prove their worth.
We have less than 70 days before the election. What matters to the electorate and the discerning public now is the parties, the candidate, the policy environment of each party. These are of considerable significance for voting decisions in forthcoming elections.
12 states in the 6 geopolitical zones are to be toured by the platform before the end of this year. In Abuja, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has signed a memorandum of understanding with 3 transport unions to deliver election materials nationwide in the 2019 general elections. By this agreement, 80,000 vehicles are expected to be on election duty.
Will also require you to swear to an oath of neutrality as your participation in the delivery of electoral logistics requires absolute neutrality and impartiality. The security agencies shall escort all vehicles to locations. In addition, we shall track the movement of all vehicles electronically and real time, as we did in some of the more recent elections. I want to inform the unions that we will not only track electronically, we will also eavesdrop on the conversations taking place in the vehicles. So we'll know where each vehicle is. If there is a breakdown of any vehicle, we know why it has broken down and we can respond immediately.
I'm going to make the vehicle available 24 hours before the election with the names of the driver, the number of the vehicles, the telephone of the driver for easy contact.
Our next report from Minna says the Federal High Court sitting in Minna has ordered the issuance of hearing of notice to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, in the ongoing money laundering case against the former governor of Niger State, Dr. Muazu Babangida Aliyu, and the state PDP gubernatorial candidate in the 2019 general elections, Umar Mohamed Nasku. Mukhtar Abubakar Wawa reports that the order followed the sequential absence of the EFCC counsel without a correspondent.
After the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, presented its 10th witness in June this year, 2 days were slated for the continuation of hearing, expecting the EFCC to present more witnesses. Following the non-appearance of the EFCC counsel on the slated 10th and 11th of December 2018, the counsel to the first respondent, Dr. Muazu Babangida Aliyu, told the court that information made available indicate that the EFCC counsel handling the case was not able to come to the court due to his wife's ill health. Counsel to the second respondent, Umar Mohamed Nasku, however, disassociated himself with the first respondent counsel, submitting that the ill health of the prosecution counsel's wife is hearsay. He also submitted that the ethics of the profession provides that counsel that cannot make it to the court should indicate by a correspondent to the court and opponents. The defense counsel urged the court to slate other days for the continuation of hearing.
He just heard a gossip and he communicated that gossip to the court, and that's not right.
Meanwhile, Justice Selim Bagoro fixed the 6th and 7th of March 2019 for the continuation of trial and ordered the issuance of hearing notice to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. In Minna, Mukhtar Abubakar, NTA News.
It's now time to join Ruth in Lagos for more stories on Nationwide. Hello, Ruth, it's over to you.
Thank you, Lydia, and welcome to Lagos. The Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, has engaged financial institutions in Lagos towards providing liquidity to major FAN contractors for enhanced service delivery at the nation's airports. Elizabeth Ewuga completes the story.
The Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, had recently undergone extensive transformation aimed at making the nation's airports comfortable, safe and secure. This collaborative forum between FAN and financial institutions is expected to enhance efficient service delivery through improved access to funding of contracts, especially for small and medium enterprises. Contractors and financial institutions at the event say they are willing to take advantage of the investment opportunities in the aviation industry through constructive partnership in the overall interest of all.
This is just an opportunity to provide services, value-added services, to these already identified sectors.
And one of the things that would help really is your ability to also be able to provide information in a timely manner. Things like having audited financials would help.
The managing director of FAN, Saleh Dunuma, represented at the event, said the forum will provide the much needed support to FAN contractors to enable them access opportunities for working capital enhancement.
This gathering is in tandem with the federal government's innovative step at ensuring and encouraging better access to funding, especially for small and medium-scale enterprises.
Between 90 to 180 days, we ensure that payments are paid back to the bank so that they can ease our own cash and provide more money.
Describing the aviation industry as highly technical and capital intensive, the FAN MD assured Nigerians that the forum will develop a financing mechanism to optimize the cash flow of FAN. In Lagos, Elizabeth Ewuga, NTA News.
The Nigerian Army is strategizing to raise the bar of professional competence of its personnel in the Directorate of Army Public Relations. This is at the 3-day Chief of Army Staff Study Period and Media Workshop for officers and defense correspondents. Lynn Leneke has details.
Fake news has become an issue of national discourse and a menace to the society. These experts say if the phenomenon is not addressed, it will continue to pose threats to national peace. The Directorate of Army Public Relations and the Nigerian Army School of Public Relations are collaborating to change the narrative. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, who was represented by the GOC 81 Division, Major General Musa Yusuf, explained that fake news needs to be stamped out in the service.
Our media men, I urge you to see this as a clarion call to our social responsibility to bring to a halt this ugly trend. I also want to discredit fake news in our society and engender positive narratives that will lead to national cohesion and unity.
The Directorate of Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Sani Usman, warned participants to shun fake news capable of derailing operational and tactical communications.
The theme of the combined media observer study period is, and I quote, "Fake news, a threat to national security, the way forward," which was carefully chosen to drive home the urgent need to address it. We must collectively and patriotically see ourselves as vanguard of the enthronement of ideals that will elicit public interest.
The training ends on Wednesday. In Lagos, Lynn Leneke, NTA News.
Contrabands worth 5.1 billion naira were seized by the Federal Operations Unit Zone A, Ikeja, of the Nigeria Customs Service. Controller of the unit, Aliyu Muhammad, disclosed this while giving a scorecard of interceptions and seizures made in the last 4 months. Paul Omokagu reports.
We are at the Nigerian Customs Service Federal Operations Unit Zone A, Ikeja, where some items have been impounded. Let's hear from the controller.
We do intercept because the law says
we should not allow imported rice. We cannot cover the whole border. But those that escape and come and hide it in their warehouses, we have the power. Section 8 of the state might give me the power without even search warrant to enter your house, and if I suspect, to break your house and bring out that rice.
The Federal Operations Unit also impounded other items. These items include 2,887 kilograms of vegetable oil, 58 vehicles, 2,520 pieces of textiles, and 39,664 bags of foreign rice.
It is back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Paul. It's time now to join our Ibadan Network Center for more on Nationwide.
Thank you and welcome to Ibadan. The Southwest National Peace and Reconciliation Committee of All Progressives Congress, APC, has given assurance that the party will resolve all grievances ahead of the 2019 general elections for a successful outing. Chairman of the committee and Governor of Borno State, Kashim Shettima, gave assurance in Ibadan shortly after an interactive session with some aggrieved members from Osun and Oyo State. Ayomi Kwajibola has the reports.
The chairman of Peace and Reconciliation Committee and Governor of Borno State, Kashim Shettima, while interfacing with aggrieved members of the party in Osun and Oyo State over the last primaries, advised them to draw inspiration from party leaders who have made sacrifice under difficult situations. The committee, according to him, had listened to aggrieved members from the two states, and recommendations will be forwarded to the National Working Committee of the party.
The National Working Committee will take far-reaching decisions to mollify the crowd to see that we have come on board to achieve our dream of winning the 2019 elections. Everyone is important in this movement, and we are not going to underrate anyone.
And aggrieved members from Oyo State hoped the reconciliation exercise will bring about justice.
The major issue is the reward system of the party. Our reward system is very faulty. I mean, you can't be talking about peace without justice.
National Chairman of APC, Adams Oshomole, had last month inaugurated a National Peace and Reconciliation Committee for each of the 6 geopolitical zones of the country to reconcile all aggrieved members of the party ahead of the 2019 general election in Ibadan. Ayomiku Ajibola, NTA News.
Oyo State Governor Abiola Ajimobi has asked security agencies in the state to take practical steps to be ahead of criminal elements and build on the successes recorded so far in making the state the most secured in the country. The governor stated these are the inauguration of the Oyo State Safe City Control Center, Phase 1 in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. Ayomi Kwajibola again reports.
The installation of CCTVs are chosen as strategic locations across Ibadan under the Oyo State City Project Initiative, according to Governor Abiola Ajimobi, is to complement the existing security apparatus in the state and make Oyo State even more secure.
The only way we can have a robust security system is to introduce technology. And CCTV is in the forefront of that technology.
The governor used the occasion to reiterate his call for the establishment of state police as the only panacea to crime in Nigeria. Chairman of Oyo State Security Trust Fund, Bayo Adilabu, says the CCTV that a man has recognized with the main control is to ultimately aid the effort of the security agencies in Oyo State with the provision of real-time feed and information.
We are not only institutionalizing high-level security technology, but we are moving our response mechanism to crime to a new level. We will continue on what you have given us, and we will continue to be the state with the lowest crime rate in Nigeria.
If everybody is aware of the CCTV camera somewhere, at least everybody will be conscious.
And it's going to go a long way to curb insecurity in the state.
The CCTVs are in 10 major areas, which include Idi Arere, Bere, Okeado, Ojo, Sango, Dube, and Makola, among others, in Ibadan metropolis. Ayomiku Achibola, NTA News.
And ahead of a Yuletide season and the forthcoming 2019 general elections, Oyo State Police has reaffirmed its commitment to protecting lives and properties in the state. This was made known at the Ele Police Headquarters, where some suspects were paraded. Correspondent Gokialo Moge now reports.
We are here today at the LALA police headquarters, where 15 suspects have been arrested and paraded for various offences ranging from armed robbery to burglary and internet fraud.
I invited her through WhatsApp, so I now told her that even though she wants to leave, she have to have sex with me.
Some of the items recovered from the suspects are 1 Toyota Matrix, 1 Honda Jeep, 5 Golf saloon cars, 20 motorcycles, and various ammunitions. Here with me is the Commissioner of Police, Oyo State Command.
There are different strategies that we use in police, but usually a lot of success come from, we do what we call intelligence-led policing, and they come from members of the public.
The Commissioner has, however, warned criminals to desist from such crimes, as Oyo State will not be habitable for them.
We have put strategies in place that we will use to arrest them. So if they want to enjoy their Christmas like all others, they should look for something that will bring them money.
In Ibadan, Goke Alamogi, NTA News.
Thank you, Goke. You're still watching Nationwide on NTA. More reports after this break.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There is no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
The second edition of the Ratao NTA Headquarters Chapter Staff Day celebration will hold on 14th December 2018. Highlights of the event include Best Staff Awards, presentation of awards to distinguished members of the society, which will include Deputy Governor of Kano State, Dr. Nasiru Yusuf Gawuna, Abike Dabiri, Senior Special Advisor to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, Dr. Boboye Oyemi, Corps Marshal, Federal Road Safety Corps, Justice Usman Bello, FCT Chief Judge, and others. Speakers: Onoja Isaac, pharmacist and emotional intelligence expert; Okorie Daniel, CEO, Ionized Kagem Water Limited. Venue: NTA Arena, NTA Headquarters, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. Time: 4 p.m. prompt. Join us and celebrate our staff, the pride of our organization. Great NTA staff.
At 2030, as a successor framework for the Millennium Development Goals, the global community rolled out a bigger, deeper, and more encompassing framework called the Sustainable Development Goals, designed to transform our world, lift the poor out of poverty, as well as ensure inclusive and healthy society. On Agenda 2030, we take you on a media trip to the global destination of the future we want. With everyone on board, we focus on the people and their struggle, the civil society and their agitations, the government and her development effort, the Global Development Agenda, its 17 goals and 169 targets. We bring you all the deliberations, insightful conversations, and high-level partnerships on the road to global destination. Agenda 2030, showing on this channel. Agenda 2030, leaving no one behind.
Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Thanks for being there. The news continues in Abuja. Nigeria has successfully ensured the reduction of risk attached to nuclear security. The chairman of Nigeria Atomic Energy Commission, NAEC, Professor Simon Malam, made this known during the 9th meeting on conversion of miniature neutron source reactors from highly enriched uranium to low-enriched uranium fuel.
In terms of what it means from our own development, is that we now have a facility that is working, that can be used, for instance, in the diversification of the economy of the country, because we can use it to characterize our mineral resources, to think of the soil and geochemical qualities of our country.
We are now able to, in all capacities, attain the highest form of technological development that is possible in Nigeria.
International community, we have agreed that facilities for civilian use should not have a weapon-grade material because it will be attractive to non-state actors. Now we have succeeded in doing it. We have downblended it from a weapon-grade material to a material that can be used in a reactor and cannot be used as a weapon.
Different nationalities were represented at the event, which was more of a celebration of another successful feat in enhancing nuclear security in Nigeria and the world at large. The Nigeria Union of Pensioners is set to achieve pension without tension and tears in years ahead, such that retirees enjoy rest after retirement. That was the focus of the 17th edition of the National Pensioners Day held in Abuja. Emmanuel Ayimiro reports.
Over the years, retirees have had to cope with poor or non-settlement of their severance entitlements, posing serious financial challenges to their existence, particularly at the state levels. While commending the federal government for consistency in payment of pensions and gratuities, pensioners want intervention that will make it impossible for state not to pay their retirees.
Since state governors never fail to collect their monthly salaries, they have no moral justification to failing to pay their pensioners as at when due. We humbly appeal to President Muhammadu Buhari to persuade and prevail on all state governors who are slowly killing and exterminating their pensioners through long delays in pension payment to have a rethink and be more responsive.
Another area of expected intervention is the immediate implementation of minimum pension whenever national minimum wage is approved, which state governments find it difficult to comply with. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
Coalition of civil society organizations working in partnership for advocacy in child and family health at scale projects are coming up with innovative ways of ensuring consolidated and available funding for universal health coverage. Chimdima Ndubisi reports that as Nigeria commemorates International Universal Health Coverage Day, the group wants the 3 tiers of government to fund the second National Strategic Health Development Plan.
The concept of universal health coverage requires that every individual has access to quality health care services at little or no cost. This means that adequate funding must be readily available for those who need health care services so as to avoid out-of-pocket spending. Although Nigeria has signed to commit at least 15% of our annual budget to improving the health sector, the highest the sector has received is 7%.
Even when funds are released, there are challenges of utilization and accountability, mismanagement of resources, and lack of coordination among federal, state, and local governments.
In marking the International Universal Health Coverage Day, the coalition of civil society organizations working with the Partnership for Advocacy in Child and Family Health at Scale project is calling on the government to release the 2018 Basic Healthcare Provision Fund and for the citizens to pitch in by being charged 1 kobo per second on every outgoing phone call.
Imagine if everybody uses 10 minutes on average a day, 1 kobo per second on that. It comes to about over 300 billion just to service health insurance scheme.
It assures that there won't be concerns for tracking the funds as the Open Government Partnership, a venture that promotes citizens' engagement with the government on transparency and accountability, has the mechanism to monitor the process. In Abuja, Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
He's still nationwide. Jenny is in Port Harcourt with stories trending from that zone. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Lydia, and welcome to Port Harcourt. The federal government has reiterated its commitment to the speed of the Bodo-Boni Unity Road, expected to be completed in 2022. Minister of State, Power Works and Housing, Mustafa Shahiri, met the commitment after an inspection of ongoing federal road projects in Rivers State. Robinson Daritide reports.
The Bodo-Boni Unity Road is a 39-kilometer road funded by the federal government and the natural gas (NLNG). It was awarded in 2007 with a completion date 2022. About 5 kilometers, representing 4% of the project, has been achieved up to the border waterside, where the first motor bridge is being constructed. However, the need to improve the soil from kilometers 17 to 27 to be able to carry the bridges, why the delay in the compensation to property owners at Boni is slowing down the pace of the work. The minister speaks on his impression of the project.
People at this site, that is the border site, already they have been taken care of. I think what remains now is the Boni site and the community in between, maybe Boni and border here, will be taken care of.
Earlier, the minister inspected the 41.4 Port Harcourt-Enugu Express Road, which has achieved 4.5% completion. About 13 kilometers of the road within the Port Harcourt-Aba axis is being expanded from 4 to 8 lanes with drainages. In Port Harcourt, Robinson Deratede, NTA News.
The fight time crimes is one which has continued to record several successes by the Nigerian Navy. The recent is the interception of smuggled rice worth over 13 million naira by officers of the NSS Victory in Calabar. Maureen Leo Ajon has the report.
Barely 2 weeks after the NNS Victory handed over similar arrests made for prosecution, another set of 100 smuggled rice have been intercepted at Parrot Island along the Calabar Channel. The over 13 million naira worth of rice was intercepted with 19 suspects, 3 of whom are said to be Cameroonians.
For the past 1 month now, we have made several arrests, so the message should have gone forth by now to inform the general public that it's not business as usual. You can't just smuggle rice into the country knowing that it is banned.
Men of the Nigeria Customs Service and the Nigeria Immigration Service were on ground to take delivery of the rice and suspects.
There is nothing like ignorance in law. So we hide under the cover that I don't know. I mean, this one is wide enough and is deep enough for people to know that foreign parboiled rice in policy is banned and stands banned until further notice.
The Nigerian Navy says it will remain on top of the game in ensuring all forms of illegalities are tackled with a view to promoting federal government rights revolution. In Calabar, Maureen Leo Ajom, NTA News.
Political parties in Rivers State have resolved to work with relevant stakeholders to achieve violence-free, fair in 2019. The resolution was contained in a communique issued after the management of NTA Port Harcourt met with leaders of some political parties in the state. Robinson Daritide reports.
The meeting convened by the management of NTA Port Harcourt was substantially interactive as representatives of political parties in River their minds on what they referred to as triggers that malign peaceful elections and the need to change the narrative in the coming elections. They insist that security agencies, election umpire and the media must play neutral roles in order not to compromise the peace deal.
It is for us to work together to make sure that the electoral system is in order. Politicians are not the problem. The problem is system.
Free coverage of political activities and a level playing ground for the political parties were some of the commitments made by the NTA, who in turn sought the parties' cooperation for the protection of journalists and their equipment during the elections.
What makes the political parties or the political thugs to begin to attack journalists? Because they are caught doing what they ought not to be doing to ourselves.
The best way to go about election campaigns is to address issues. Please feel free to invite NTA. It will be free of charge, and that is a mandate that we have.
Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and the National Orientation Agency warned against the use of foul language and vote buying, while they reminded the politicians aggressive voter education to adequately sensitize their members and the electorate. Out of about 56 political parties operating in River State, over 40 attended the meeting. The two major political parties, APC and PDP, were however absent. In Port Harcourt, Robinson Daratide, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Port Harcourt Network Center. It's back to you, Lydia. Back to you, Lydia. Back to you, Lydia.
Now hear the angels sing.
Oh yes, it is our season of joy.
Be part of Radio Nigeria, NTA and Voice of Nigeria annual festival of 9 lessons and Christmas carols.
Come and be refreshed as we showcase music from various artists.
Join Deborah Enejo Samuel for the praise and worship session.
The Can Choir,
Children Choir,
instrumentals and scintillating solos.
Radio Nigeria, NTA, Voice of Nigeria choirs and a host of others.
We will be hosting you along with dignitaries from different parts of the country, with the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, CFR, in attendance.
Our message giver shall be Reverend Israel Akonji of the First Baptist Church and Can Chairman of North Central Region, Nigeria.
Theme, Jesus our Comforter.
Date, 16th December 2018.
Venue, National Christian Center, Abuja.
Time, 3 p.m. prompt.
Join Radio Nigeria, NTA, and Voice of Nigeria to commemorate the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ.
Because of Christmas Day.
In line with the vision of promoting probity, accountability and transparency in the management of public funds, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation has unveiled Compendium on Fiscal Rectitude in Government Revenue and Expenditure.
The Treasury Journal that we've recently launched dwells largely on the operations of the Treasury, and in particular the reform initiatives that we drive as the Treasury, namely the Treasury Single Account, the IFSAS implementation, the IPPS, and a host of others.
Very incisive and educating. Grab a copy of the Treasury Journal from your vendor and get abreast with financial transactions such as monthly allocations within the federal, states, and local governments, Buhari's transformation policy on the Treasury, inroads to IGR, and many more mixed grilling stories. Remember, the Treasury Journal is a dependable ally for researchers, financial institutions, the academia, and policymakers. Treasury Journal, a fiscal rectitude in managing public funds.
My name is Wasu Oyade, Baba Ojaofikori Shopping Center. BOI, now surprise when they tell us they will give us money. This will be like magic. I don't believe when I see my account credit down 100K just like that, no collateral. No, I surprised. Market money, not the best. When I get this money, I just buy plenty material. I buy all benefit things that I used to look for money to buy in bulk. This money better for me. Government, make una continue to give the layman this kind of money to support their business, because this money help me well. I dey expect another one because I don't pay the other one back. So I dey expect make them give me more than what I got, so that this one will increase my business.
Thanks for being there. We'll now join Charles Abba in Makurdi for more on Nationwide. Charles, take it from here.
Thank you, Lydia, and a warm welcome to Makurdi. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, has flagged off the construction of dual carriageways of the 8-kilometer Otukpo Township Road in Benue State. Achigli Magaji reports that it is the fourth road being constructed in the Benue South Senatorial District by the federal government. Other roads are the first phase of 9th Mile Otukpo Road, that of Otukpo Alede and the Otukpo Weto roads. The Minister of Work says it is part of efforts by the President Buhari-led government to build infrastructure and link agricultural communities in 6 states for social and economic development.
Where are the farms? So Benue is one of the places, Sokoto, Kebbi, one of the places, Jigawa, Abia, Ebonyi. All the roads we are building are connecting those farms.
The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Chief Audu, who is an indigene of the area, noted that the flag off is part of the commitment of the present administration to deliver on its promises.
We began working in 2015. We are working now. We'll continue between 2019 and 2023 because that's the commitment we made.
Other residents of the area expressed delight over the development.
I just want to thank Mr. President. I want to thank him for remembering Otukpo, because that's the place of my birth.
Today I drove from Abuja. I got to Otukpa, and from Otukpa it took me just 30 minutes to get here.
The total sum for the 8-kilometer Otukpo Township and the 47-kilometer Otukpo Alede roads is put at 9.9917 billion naira. In Makurdi, Achigli Magaji, NTA News. And on religion, the need for religious leaders to play critical roles in curtailing the religious and ethnic divides caused by crisis in northeastern part of the country has prompted the Presidential Committee to organize an interreligious meeting in Jalingo. Joseph Hussein reports that the PCNI urged the religious leaders to use their positions as reformers to promote peaceful coexistence.
In the quest to rebuild lives and social cohesion in the northeastern zone of the country, following the crises that have been culminating to religious and ethnic divides in some quarters, the Presidential Committee on the Northeast Initiative took upon itself to bring religious leaders together to interface and discuss the need for the religious institution to champion peaceful coexistence.
Pastors, imam, they have subjects who listen to them, and we feel that they play a critical role in, based on the moral position the society has placed them, to douse tension and to make sure that there's peace in their domain.
Governor Darius Dixon Ishaku, represented by the State Grand Kadi, Ahmed Bose, restated the state government's commitment towards supporting any project that will promote peace and unity among the people. The state chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Reverend, and representative of the State Muslim Council, Manan Chindo Bose, among other speakers at the meeting, believe that the forum will ignite their positions as peace builders and development partners. In Jalingo, Joseph Sound O10, NTA News.
With that report, we are done from Makurdi. Lydia, it is back to you.
Thank you, Charles. The National Human Rights Commission says it is determined to ensure that rights of citizens are adequately protected in line with its mandate in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Justice and Center for Civilians in Conflict. Executive Secretary of the Commission, Tony Ojukwu, said this at the commemoration of the 70th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, has that.
In the life of mankind, this Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
It was in 1948 at the United Nations General Assembly that the Universal Declaration was adopted. 70 years down the line, legal practitioners, human rights activists, media chief executives, military and paramilitary officers, and other members of human rights community converged here to stand up for human rights. As they took turns to make a case for those whose rights were violated, their line of thought was the need to avoid what they called a repeat of the devastation of the Great Depression of the 1930s, Holocaust, as well as tyranny that caused it.
3 months period is the target to resolve complaints of human rights violations. 3 thematic departments of civil and political rights, economic, social and cultural rights, and women, children and vulnerable groups have been created to realize this target.
Perfection of the Nigerian state should be based on the human rights principles of equality, participation, non-discrimination and accountability.
Taken from the Declaration des droits de l'homme et du citoyen, became in the Universal Declaration, all human beings are born free and equal.
The event also featured a special award presentation to a former executive secretary of the commission and current chairman of the Federal Road Safety Commission, Bukari Bello, whom a hall is now named after. The 70th anniversary, key players say, is to recommit and rededicate the people to ending inequality and discrimination, torture and arbitrary detention, towards enhancing fair access to basic social amenities and fundamental human rights. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Thanks, Adebola. Now sports. New festivals record set in long jump at ongoing National Sports Festival in Abuja has Tech Vibes of Jos are champions of 2018 NCC Tennis League. Amazi Marcus has more on Sports Update.
Delta State are still leading